Lonna Kelly, and this is Hudson Valley Art Speak, and we have a big topic to cover today. We're going to be talking about artist open studio tours from the perspective of getting a tour off the ground. You know, what do you have to do? How do you get started? What you have to do in terms of communications, public relations, and all those things that kind of build into making it a successful tour. And to do that, to talk with us today, Joan Daidone is here. And Joan has been working with me for a couple of years on the Art East Open Studio Tour, and she's got vast experience in art marketing and in communications, and we've been very lucky to have her. So thanks for coming today, Joan.
Well, thank you. It's really a pleasure to be here today.
Uh-huh.
And a pleasure to work with you.
Yeah, well, I have to agree. I enjoy working with you, too. So, Joan, what brought you to Art East? You certainly changed the culture in terms of a lot of the things that we do, but give me a little idea about your background.
Well, I've been involved in the arts for many years. Love the arts. Actually, many years ago, saw myself as an amateur street photographer.
Uh-huh.
But I owned a gallery from 2007 to 2010, and I've been involved with different artist groups and in really promoting and marketing art. And I always wanted to bring together my love of the arts and really helping artists and communities promote the arts, because I always found artists had a really difficult time promoting themselves.
Self-promotion is very hard,
yes.
And I think a lot of the times the artists who are the most successful are the best marketeers. Yeah, the best people who can get it out there and get the messages across. Art East is an artist-run open studio tour as opposed to, say, something that an arts council or a municipality would put together. So it's a little bit different, and it has different needs because of that. So why don't we talk first about the organizational structure and what you have to think about to get going from day one?
Well, first of all, we found a fiscal sponsor, which is the Dutchess County Arts Council. And they enable us to, because they're a nonprofit organization, they enable us to apply for grants. And we've been fortunate enough to be able to get a grant every year from the Berkshire Taconic Foundation, which helps us pay for the printing of our brochure and other, marketing, printing and those kinds of costs.
Right. So with the fiscal sponsorship, it's one of the things that it enabled us to do also was not to have to incorporate as a nonprofit organization.
Exactly, which is
yeah,
which is a long process,
right,
and not easy to do.
Right, right. So we have to pay the Arts Council a small fee, but in return for that, they process our checks, and I think that they added a little bit of legitimacy to the beginning of the process.
Exactly.
Yeah. So one of the things that you need to think about when you do this is, first of all, when you're going to have the open studio tour, and then to back up from there and create a timeline of
it's really
things.
Preparation. I mean, you have to do a lot of preparation, and once you establish your date and making sure that it's a date that's where there's not a lot happening in that community, where it's a time of year where people, in the case of Art East, it's in the fall, so people want to be out there, leave watching and taking little day trips. So, picking the right day or the right weekend is very important, and having it for a few days. Art East is spread over a very large, distance, so we've designed it to be 2 weekends, one in the north and one in the south. But it's really coming up with a timeline that gives you enough time to really prepare. And we usually kick off our first meeting in February, actually, to first of all, recruit the artists and be able to go out and actually see the spaces, see their work, and and bring together a large enough body of artists in in geographic areas where people can easily see 3 or 4 art studios in the same day. So, there's logistics and there's, recruiting the right artists.
Right. I think you said something really important, though, also in terms of recruiting artists. To make sure that you kind of have a cluster of artists, maybe 3 or 4 within a reasonable distance, rather than 10 here and 1 5 miles away.
Yeah. Because you want it to be easy for the visitors on the tour, and make them feel that they can see as many of the studios as possible within a day's time.
Right.
I think the other thing is having a mix of artists working in different media. So it's painters who work in oils or pastels or watercolors, having artists that are sculptors or ceramics, photographers, the wide range of different types of art. That's very important, and also to be able to have artists, and this is not always the case, but who are open to talking about their process and really being comfortable with having people come into, whether it's their homes or studios, because a lot of artists who don't have studios will show the work in their homes, which is also great because it's an intimate setting. So it's really finding a mix of different artists. And then once one has all the artists together and having them get together and getting the artists to participate, because it's really important, especially with an artist-run tour, that each of the artists takes on a certain responsibility, whether it's working on the brochure, whether it's being in charge of signage, PR. I mean, there's so many different roles and so many different jobs to be done. It's a lot of preparation. So getting artist participation early on is really important.
Right. You mentioned the brochure, and I know that's a really big part of Art East marketing, and also about the one of the things that we have tried to do consistently across the years that we've been working on this is to brand the event. We talk about it always as a road trip, and we associate it with leaf season and people being able to ride the back roads of Dutchess County, and we consistently use we've used a road image on our brochure. And our signs are always the same color. So how important do you think
Branding
that is?
Is very, very important. I mean, what we established, I worked on the brochure for 3 years.
Right.
And it's a big job. But establishing sort of doesn't necessarily, but a logo-like typography that is always consistent and always the same colors. And as you mentioned, we chose photography as opposed to showing the artist's work on the cover, because it was really important not to be showing, to have a look and feel where it didn't rely on different artists, and we didn't get into the type of thing where one artist or several artists would be featured and the other ones would feel left out. So having a consistent typeface, a consistent look and feel, and having the language and the tone, I mean, is just as important in terms of writing about it, in terms of how we describe each artist, in terms of the kind of information that we have. We have very important to have all the contact information, email addresses, websites, and we also show an image for each of the artists, so that the visitor will have a sense before time what kind of art. The map is so important, and that's something we struggle with every year. But even though it's not that detailed, where somebody's going to follow the map to a T, what it shows is generally where the artists are, how the artists are grouped together, what the main roads are. So it's really important to help guide people throughout the tour.
Yeah. But the brochure is just a part of what we do,
Yes.
isn't it? Just a few of the things. I wrote a little list. We do press releases. We have a website, Facebook. Sometimes we do postcards. We do e-newsletter. We do video. We do signage on the roadside. So all of this together and more, actually, because we expect the artists to also be doing this
Yes,
stuff
yeah.
with their websites and promotion.
Yes, so we write articles and send them out to local magazines, local newspapers, local chamber of commerce, any sort of community organizations, Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. I mean, it's a great way to really create a fan base and followers. And one thing we do, particularly with Facebook, is we just don't talk about the tour. We talk about gallery shows that individual artists are having.
Right.
We talk about a lot of different activities and to draw people and to have them follow the Facebook page.
Right. And we do that year
We
year
do that
round.
year-round. It's
Right.
not just during the time
Yeah.
of the show.
Yeah.
I mean,
So Joan, we've reached the end of our time, believe it or not. It just whizzed right by. But this is such a big topic that Joan is going to stay, and we're actually going to talk in a second session about what artists need to do to have a successful open studio tour, what they need to bring to the table, really. So thanks for watching. Thank you, Joan.
Thank
and
you.
I'm glad you can
Thank
stick
you.
around a little bit. Thanks to the crew, and see you soon.